fallacies, enigmas, building up the people, tearing down stigmas, clothed with a purpose. When life tries to wear on me, pray and read the word, but I still go to therapy. No matter your past or what you've been through, this is a space, not judgmental. We got some things to get into. I got my mind in on my meds. No matter your past or what you've been through, this is a space, not judgmental. We got some things to get into. I got my mind in on my mental. Mind in my mental. Mind in my mental. Mind in my mental. Mind in my mental health. Mind in my mental. Mind in my mental. Mind in my mental health.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Minding My Mental Health. I am Tenitra Williams, your host and facilitator of today's episode. And as always, I am so thankful that you are joining me today. You know what I want you to do. I would like for you to hashtag live and let me know where you are watching from. If you are watching the replay, hashtag replay. Again, let me know where you're watching from. Also, I would like for you to like and share this broadcast. Like and share the broadcast. Why is that important? I don't always spend a lot of time on this, but this helps me with the algorithm to help get the broadcast to more people. I believe that it helps the people that we're able to reach, but I want to reach more and I need your help to do that. So again, if you will like the broadcast, share the broadcast, and then tag a friend. Tag a friend, meaning if you know of someone who could use some inspiration, I encourage you to go ahead and do that. Tag them, tag your friends, your families. You may say they're working right now. That's okay. The replay will be available for them. So again, I ask that you would do that. It would help me tremendously if you would do that. Also, if you're available, you can check this out on YouTube, which would help again over there to get those numbers up. So I appreciate everyone who comes, who joins, and I am looking forward to this topic. So I'm actually going to do what I've asked you all to do, which is to share the broadcast. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to share this broadcast and I'm going to tag a couple people to get rolling. I'm not going to hold you guys long today, but I am really looking forward to this topic. And we're talking about belief. Our belief system is so powerful. One of my favorite poems in high school was The Man Who Thinks He Can. And it was by this man. I think it was Walt Whittle. I think that's his name. But I was introduced to this poem years ago, again, in high school. It may have even been junior high. And I posted it on my wall. And it basically says, the person who wins is the person who thinks they can, right? And so we're going to be talking about that power of belief, but not just the power of belief, but the power of believing in yourself. So again, welcome back. I see a couple people joining in. Tag, share, do all of those things. Hey, Courtney, I appreciate you. So again, thank you so much. So we're talking about believing in ourselves. Hey, Venetia, welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, before you guys roll your eyes and say, oh my God, I've heard people talk about believing in yourself. We're not just talking about something frou-frou. I'm going to talk about how powerful it is to actually believe in you. Okay. So it's very, very powerful. I see you guys joining. I appreciate you. Tag, share this broadcast, tag your friends and your family. So, again, before you roll your eyes and say, I've heard this before, we're not talking about, the frou-frou stuff, because we're not saying, I believe I can do everything. I can be an astronaut and a pony and I can do that. We're talking about the kind of belief that says, I trust God and I trust what he put on the inside of me. Believing in yourself, when I'm talking about it today, we're not talking about self-reliance. We're talking about God reliance through self-acceptance. Okay, I'm going to say that again. We're talking about God reliance through self-acceptance. What does that mean? It's knowing that the same God who created the heavens and the earth and all of the universe and put the animals in the right places, that same God put something very powerful on the inside of you. And that same God is able to help you to manifest the glory that he put on the inside of you. So that's what we're talking about today. The problem is many people believe that God can, they don't believe God can do it through them. They look at themselves and they look at all of their shortcomings and they minimize what God can do through them. So today we're going to challenge that belief, and we are going to leave this broadcast not only fired up, but we're going to leave this broadcast ready to do something with that fire. Okay. So if you are ready, put a 1 in the comments. Let's go. And like I said, we're going to leave not just fired up, but we're going to leave ready to do something with that fire. So the first thing I want to say is talk about humility. When we're talking about Christianity, a lot of people, when we say believe in yourselves, we start going, now stay humble, don't get cocky and all of that, right? I want you to reframe humility, okay? And what I mean is humility is not thinking low of yourself. Humility is not saying I'm not good enough. Humility is not saying I can't do anything. What true humility is submitting yourself to be who you were created to be. If you'll put that in the comments, that's powerful. True humility is not thinking negative or less of yourself. True humility is submitting to who you were actually created to be. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, you were created for greatness. Okay. I'm fired up. If you guys cannot tell, I'm ready to talk about this because I think it's so powerful. And I think if we can get it, we can unlock some things that may have been locked up for some of us. So let's deal with the myth of self-belief. When we live in a culture that says believing in yourself, says believe in yourself and you can do anything. And that sounds good, right? It sounds really wonderful. But what happens is when we try our best at something and it doesn't work out the way we thought it would work out, I'm not going to even say we fail. It just doesn't work out the way we thought it was going to work out. We prayed, we planned, we pushed ahead, we worked through the fear, we launched our program, we did our thing, and nobody showed up, or nobody bought the products, or only a few people bought the products. And so then when it doesn't work out, we begin to doubt ourselves. We begin to doubt the thing that's on the inside of us. And we start to say, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I'm not cut out to be wealthy. Maybe I'm not cut out for this, right? I've had people to say things like, I've lost confidence in myself. And then you have to ask, why did you lose confidence? And it's because, and they'll typically say something like, because I felt like I did everything right and it didn't work out, or I felt like I tried and it didn't work. So now I don't know if I can do it. What I would submit is that's not failure. Sometimes it's redirection, or sometimes it's still a learning process, right? And so success is not just I try something and it magically works out perfectly on the first try. Okay. So confidence that depends on outcome is going to be shaky. Now, this is powerful. Confidence that depends on the outcome is going to be shaky. But confidence rooted in identity, who you are in God, that's unshakable. So again, if you say, I believe God told me to start this business or to launch this product or to apply for that job, and you don't get it, if your confidence is only based on the outcome, then you're going to be shaky. But if you say, my confidence is rooted in the identity of who God called me to be and who God is, well, then when that outcome doesn't come out, it doesn't change the confidence, because the confidence is rooted in who I am in Christ. Okay. So I think that's really powerful, and I need us to get that. Not letting your confidence be rooted in the outcome, but rooted in the person who created you and told you to do the thing. Okay. So when you believe in yourself through him, your belief isn't built on perfection or outcome. Okay. It's built on partnership. It's not saying I've got this. It's saying I've got this through Christ, or we've got this together. God's got this and I'm in him, right? It's a partnership. It's not this self-reliant kind of mindset. Okay. So I want to give you guys a couple examples of people who had the opportunity, if they just looked at outcome, to give up. But because they didn't just give up, they were able to see something great. And as a result, we were able to see something great through them. And we're gonna walk through this thing. I appreciate you guys talking back to me. I appreciate it a lot. Keep it up. Let's keep those comments going. If you have questions, please feel free to put those in there. Now, I want to share a few stories of people who could have given up at any point and we wouldn't know their greatness today. The first one is Steph Curry. In high school, almost every major college overlooked him. Now, you guys, if you know any basketball at all, if today's basketball, you know Steph Curry. He was told he was too small, he was too weak, and that his shooting form would not work at the next level, meaning, into the college level, NBA level. But Curry believed that God had given him a gift and that with work and faith, he could use that gift. And again, we know that he has led his team to multiple championships. He trained relentlessly, attended a small college. Why do I say a small college? Because sometimes if the outcome was rooted in, I have to go to this major D1 university before anyone in the league is going to recognize me, then his confidence would have been shaken and he could have given up. But he said, no, I believe in what I've got. I'm going to just go with my next step, which was a small college for him. He leaned on his faith in every step of the way. His favorite scripture, and you'll see him, he's talked about this. His favorite scripture is Philippians 4:13, which says, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. That was his personal conviction. He hung on to that belief that he could do all things through Christ. And now we are talking, Steph Curry, again, is one of the greatest in the league right now because of that belief. So not just an NBA championship, but he redefined the game of basketball in some ways as far as his position and what he does with his position. Someone else I want you to look at is Sarah Blakely. If you've not heard of Sarah Blakely, she is the founder of Spanx. So many women know Spanx, even if they don't know Sarah, right? Spanx is that undergarment that helps us to hold it together, right? So before becoming the youngest self-made female billionaire with a B, she was selling fax machines door to door. Now think about that. You're selling fax machines door to door. One day she literally prayed and asked God for like a plan. She said out loud, God, give me an idea that I can help women and to make the world better. A few weeks later, the idea of Spanx came to her while she was getting dressed for a party. Again, it didn't seem like something probably magical or powerful, but just the idea of this could help people. And she began to say, I'm going to do something, right? She didn't have any investors. She didn't even have a fashion background. Remember, I just said she was selling fax machines door to door, but she did have the right belief. And she said, I don't know how it would work, but I believed that it was something at least I was supposed to try. That belief, anchored in faith and perseverance, built a $1 billion company. I want you to begin to think about yourself for a minute. There are some things that, even as I'm talking, God is bringing back some of the things that you do, and you do it well. You do it. Some of it may be naturally, and for some of it may be something you've developed over the years. But there are things on the inside of you that that God has given you, and it's time for you to do just that. It's time for you to be anchored in faith and step out. Okay. Another example. I'm just going through giving a couple examples. Why? Because I want to build your confidence. I want to build your faith as we get into this. Okay. Can you guys, if you're at Facebook, let me know if you're still seeing. A message just popped up that said there was some trouble streaming to Facebook. So let me know if you guys can still see this on Facebook. Okay. So Tyler Perry is the next example. So Tyler Perry wrote his first play and it was called I Know I've Been Changed. Okay. And he poured all his savings into it and only 30 people showed up. And most of them were his family. Okay. You guys are still there. Good. He was broke and at one time even homeless, but he said, he kept talking to God and God kept telling him to keep going, keep going. There are going to be those times when you say, it's time to launch the product. It's time for me to do the thing, do the scary thing. It's time for me to do it. And when you do it, you feel so good about yourself because you're finally stepped out there. And it may not look like the outcome that you expected, because what happens is, especially when you're talking believers, we want to launch the thing, we want to do the thing and get massive results immediately. And when that doesn't happen, we allow discouragement to come and say, well, maybe I shouldn't have done it. Maybe I missed God. Maybe this isn't right for me. But again, today I come to encourage you. I'm fired up today. I come to encourage you. Just because it doesn't look massive at the beginning does not mean that it does not have the potential to create massive return for you. Okay. He was broke, even homeless. Perry's story is a picture of what happens when you believe God's promise more than your current circumstances. If you've ever heard him talk about it, it wasn't just that he had one show and people didn't show up. He had multiple shows over and over again where the crowd was not big, a lot of shows, and a lot of people would have given up, but he just believed this is something something on the inside of him said, I'm supposed to be doing this, right? And so what I'm telling you is, don't get discouraged at the first sign of it looking like it's not supposed to be, and it looking like it's not looking the way you want it to be. You have to convince yourself and be committed to who God called you to be, what God put on the inside of you, and the fact that God himself is with you, and you will keep going, right? So the last example I want to give is Wilma Rudolph. I don't know if you guys remember her. She was a track star. As a child, she was told that she would never walk because she had contracted polio disease, but her mother refused to accept that diagnosis. She prayed, she worked with Wilma daily and encouraged her to believe that healing was possible. Again, the power of belief. Years later, not only did Wilma walk, of course, she ran. And in 1960, she became the first American woman to win 3 gold medals in track and field. When asked how she did it, she said, my faith and my family made me believe I could do anything. What's really powerful, again, is it's not just that she said anything was possible. She said, my faith and my family made me believe that I could do anything. That is the power of belief. We're not talking the power of ego, but in the power of God, that God can make all things possible. Now, we did not say easy. Okay, I wanted to get, I didn't say easy. God can make it possible, not necessarily easy. Okay, so now you guys know I am going to always bring a clinical perspective. So I want to put on my little counselor hat for a moment and talk about this, but just briefly as we continue to go through learning and growing, right? So now let's look on the psychological perspective. We know that the belief system has a huge impact on your mental health. I have had so many people, and I will tell them encouraging things, and they may say, yeah, but that won't happen for me, or it's too late for me. That sounds good. I'm happy for you, or I'm happy for her. I'm happy that it happened for someone. But they don't necessarily believe, I think I'm stuck for it. There we go. They don't necessarily believe that they are, it can happen for them. They don't believe that it can happen for them, or that they can do that themselves. They don't think they're smart enough. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if you've got all the skill and intellect. If you don't have the belief, you will be sitting on a gold mine and begging. The belief is so powerful. So many people have the skill. So many people have the ability, but they don't believe. And then those very people often will sit back and watch people who are less talented, less intellectually capable, doing amazing things, because those people actually had the belief, and they said, hey, I may not have it all right, but if I keep going, and if I keep going, it will be, it can be amazing, right? And so you'll see those people, you'll see people who can sing rings around celebrities, talking about how so and so can't really sing, but so and so had the belief in themselves and they went out and they kept going and they didn't take no for an answer. And now we're hearing their songs on the radio, and we don't hear your songs on the radio, or we're not reading your book, we're not watching your play, we're not watching your movie, we're not getting your products, because those people believed, even though it may not have been perfect, they believed enough to go out there. So again, let's talk psychologically or clinically for a moment. When your thoughts are filled with doubt, your brain interprets that as danger. Why are we doubting? What's to be afraid of? So your brain starts to say, there must be a reason that there is this doubt here. So your brain starts to operate from, and you guys have heard me say this word a lot, your amygdala gets triggered, and it can set up your fight or flight or freeze center, right? And so suddenly you are running away from the assignment, you're fighting the assignment, or you're frozen. You're not doing anything, okay? Because your brain has said there is doubt here. So one of the things you have to do is you have to shift your internal dialogue. What is internal dialogue? It is the conversation you have in your own head, right? I can't do that because so-and-so. I can't do that because I sure wish I could do this. I sure wish I could do this. You have to begin to switch your internal dialogue from I can't to I can. How can I will. I'm doing this, right? So this is called, when you begin to switch your internal dialogue, it starts to shift the wiring of your brain. Now, this is really powerful, because when our brain shifts, powerful things can happen. When you start saying things like, I can't do it, your brain starts going, oh, let's shut down. We don't have to look for opportunities. We don't have to look for ways to do it. But when you start saying, I can do it, how can I do it? Your brain starts to look for ways to make that happen. Okay. What happens when your brain starts to look for these ways? It starts creating new pathways in your brain. It is the rewiring of your brain. This is called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity. What does that mean? The ability to shift. Our brains are not stuck. So when we start switching that dialogue, it starts giving our brains more flexibility. We start moving a little more. We start flowing. Ideas start to flow, and things start to happen for us. The ability for the brain to grow new pathways is very powerful, because then it opens up new opportunities in our mind. Faith and neuroscience agree with this statement, and it's actually in Proverbs 23:7. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Okay. What are we saying? We're saying, as you start to believe you can do these things, your brain starts pulling it together. What I would tell you is, do not neglect the power of your imagination, because it helps to build your confidence. Okay. The power of imagination you begin to see yourself doing something. We have one of our girls has been dealing with overcoming a fear, and she was getting caught up in this fear. And I went in, it had been very frustrating, but I went in and I said, give me your hands. She gave me her hands, and I started walking her through a visualization exercise of her seeing herself do the thing that she was afraid of. We walked through that visualization a couple of times. And then I said, this time I want you to walk me through it. We're going to close our eyes, but you tell me what you're doing in the visualization, and you tell me what you see. And she walked through it. When she opened her eyes, I said, how do you feel? She said, good. I said, now do the thing. She literally opened her eyes. She said she felt good, and she did the thing that moments before she was afraid to do, because she started to see herself being able to do that. And so I encourage you to take a moment and begin to visualize yourself doing the thing that the enemy, yourself, your negative self-talk has been telling you can't do. See yourself. Many of you have skills and abilities. You can see yourself doing the skill, but not making money from the skill. Okay. So for example, let's say you know how to sew, and you can see yourself creating the outfits, but you don't see yourself having your own store or your own boutique or selling these outfits for a major profit. And if you do, you go, well, yeah, I'll sell it for $20. You don't see yourself being able to do that on a large scale. So wherever you're able to see yourself, I want you to level up that visualization. So start with the visualization. See yourself doing that thing. See yourself selling the product and not just making $50, but making 5,000, 50,000, 500,000, a million. Begin to level up your visualization more and more. The more you visualize it, the more you can see it. And again, your brain begins to find ways to do that. The creativity starts, oh, I could do this, I could do that. I'm telling you, the more you see that, the more you will notice how many ideas start to come in your brain of how to get you from the place of the $50 sales to the 500 to the 1,000. Okay. So let's keep going. Let's talk about the power of identity. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back because I want to say this important thing. You can train your brain to believe again. So if you said, I once believed and I feel like I stopped believing because I got discouraged along the way, it's okay. Don't beat yourself up. That is in the past. It's time now to start to train your brain to believe again. Not just believe, see it, and speak it. Believe it, see it, and speak it. Okay. Now, let's look at the power of identity. The truth is, you can't believe yourself into something that you don't believe you. No, let me go back. You can't believe in yourself if you don't know who you are. Okay. You can't really believe in yourself if you don't really know who you are. And if you see yourself only through your mistakes, you will keep living out that version of yourself. If you only see yourself from your mistakes, your past, your drama or trauma, you will only live out that version of yourself. But when you start to see yourself through a different lens, through the lens of God, chosen, equipped, capable, loved, forgiven, all of these things, when you start to see yourself from a God perspective, your confidence shifts from ego to evidence. What do I mean? You go from, I can do it to, I've done this. I've seen God move in this way. I've seen God do these things. I know God and I know his character. I rely on the evidence of that. And again, you go from ego to evidence. Think about Moses when when God told him to tell Pharaoh to let his people go. Moses said, who am I? Okay. And God didn't list Moses' skills. He said, who am I to tell Pharaoh to do this? God didn't say, well, you were raised in the palace and you were this and you were that. You have connections, Moses. God said, I'll be with you. And he says, who will I say sent me? He says, tell him I sent you. I am sent you. Right. So Moses didn't have to rely on his own skills because his own skills were lacking. He didn't even have eloquent speech. He actually had to have someone else in a many times to speak on his behalf. Right. But we hear about Moses because it wasn't in the skill. It was in the belief that if I go, God is going with me. Okay. That's the foundation of the true self-belief we're talking about. You don't have to have it all together if you're connected to the one who holds it all together. Put that in the comments. I don't have to have it all together because I'm connected to the one who holds it all together. But understand this, there are people who believe in themselves and they have no knowledge of God. So I just told you our belief, our confidence comes from believing in God. But there are people who absolutely aren't religious, who aren't giving credit to God, who are still able to do powerful things because they believe in themselves. Now watch this. I'm going to give an example of someone, but I don't want you to go, oh, so it's not about God at all. No, I want you to say, if they can do that, believing in themselves without God, how much more can I do believing in God and what he put on the inside of me? Okay. Steve Jobs, not known for being religious at all, but had an unshakable belief and vision that he was called to do great things. And in 1985, he was publicly fired from Apple, the company that he co-founded. So think about this. You start the company and then they fire you. You're like, wait a minute, I'll take this whole ship down. He took it. The company fired him from the company fired him from the company that he had built in the garage. Imagine that. But most people would have walked away and been humiliated. Okay. But he didn't. Instead, he said it was an awful tasting medicine, but the patient needed it. He took that setback or what seems to be a loss or humiliation. He said, I needed to revamp some things. He believed that the setback wasn't the end, it was just redirection. How many of you take setbacks as the final say so instead of going, no, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? I'm going to continue. I remember after getting divorced, I was like, I'm not giving up on love. I'm not giving up on love. I still believe in love. I still believe in the covenant of what God called, right? Just because one thing doesn't seem to work out doesn't mean you have to give up on the goal. It's often said this way. My pastor said it this way: be committed to the goal, but flexible in your approach. Some of us get so committed to this way is the only way that I can be successful, that when that thing seems to dry up or that thing doesn't produce the way you thought it would produce, you say, oh, I must have missed it altogether, and you give up. Just because that avenue dried up doesn't mean that there are not 50,000 other avenues that are there to help you get to where you're trying to go. Okay. Setbacks mean I can shift and do things differently to achieve the goal. Absolutely. Okay, let's keep going. So during this quote unquote wilderness season, he started two more companies, the Next and the Pixar. Most of us have heard of those companies. Pixar went on to create Toy Stories, the first fully computer animated film that changed entertainment forever. Okay, that is actually one of my favorite stories. Years later, Apple bought the Next company and they brought back Steve Jobs into the company. He redesigned the brand, launched the iMac, the iPod, the iPhone, and the iPad, and made Apple the most valuable company in the world at the time. Listen, he had an opportunity to go, well, maybe I'm just good enough to start companies and they're not this or whatever. He was like, no, I'm going to continue to believe in the thing on the inside of me, right? Steve Jobs' story is proof that belief doesn't always start with applause. Sometimes it starts with a quiet conviction that what's inside of you is worth building. Go ahead and put that in the comment. What's on the inside of me is worth building. Even if no one else sees that. Sometimes we're trying to get a committee to see what we see. We need to have everybody on board saying, this is it, girl. This is your thing, guy. This is going to be the next big, and when we have the applause of everybody or the validation and support of everyone, then we feel like we're ready to go. Well, guess what? Everybody may not be able to see the vision the first time, right? Okay, so I think it's important that we don't rely on having the applause of everyone. Belief doesn't mean that life gets easier. It means you stop letting fear narrate your story. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Belief doesn't mean that your life just gets easier. It means you stop letting fear narrate your story. What is a narrator? A narrator takes you through the story and they say, next, this thing happens. Then this thing happens. But if you let fear be the narrator of your life, it is going to direct you to a place that is not what you want in life. So many people come into my office and they literally come in for depression. And clinically, they have all of the signs of diagnosis of depression: low energy, low motivation, lack of focus, feeling sad, isolating. But then as we begin to explore more, oftentimes it is something on the inside of them where they have settled with something that they do not want in life. And instead of saying, hey, I believe that I have the power to change my life. I am not just here as a participant or a passive participant, but I can be an active participant in my life. When they start to shift in that way, their energy levels increase. I'm working with people. I'm working with someone right now, and they came in with a lot of low energy, depression symptoms. And as we started talking, I was like, you don't seem happy where you're currently working. And as we were able to start unpacking some things, guess what happened when they started? But number one, being honest about the fact that they were somewhere that they didn't want to be. If you are looking at your life, and even if you say, no, I'm not somewhere I don't want to be, but I know there's more for me, that thing on the inside of you that knows that there's more on the inside of you is calling you, it's pulling you for something more. And if you're not experiencing that or moving towards that, it can start to feel draining on you, right? And so I think it's really important that we are able to go, let me be honest about what's happening. So let's look here for just a moment. Ask yourself these questions. Where have I stopped believing in myself because things didn't go as planned? You ask yourself that. Where have I stopped believing in myself because things did not go the way I wanted them to? I can remember launching this program, and man, I was so excited about launching it. I was excited, and I actually really felt good about what I had put together. The whole program, I was like, man, this is good work. This is great work. And when it did not produce what I thought it was going to produce, I was so discouraged. I mean, I was just like, man, I spent money on the training to even get this, to be able to produce this program. And I think it's a really good program. And I was just like, I kind of shut down for a while. Now, I may have posted and all of those things, but internally I just shut down because I was really discouraged. And it just, here's the good thing though. I kept surrounding myself with people who would challenge me and pull me and encourage me. And because of that, I started going, wait. I'm settling where God didn't tell me to settle. I'm putting a period where God said that was a comma. I learned a lot from that program and that process. And so now I'm able to launch programs and able to do things and be able to do it more effectively because I had that experience of growth in that time. Okay. So ask yourself, where have I stopped believing in myself because things didn't go as planned? That's the first question or first reflection question I want you to ask yourself. Okay. And by all means, if something pops up and you feel like you want to share that, go ahead and put that in the comments. The next thing, what dream have I buried because I feel like it's too late? Be honest with yourself. What's the thing that you said, it's okay if I don't get that? It's all right. It's too late. I'm too old for that. I can't do it. What's that thing? Ask God if you're supposed to, if that dream's supposed to live again. Take that to God and ask him. And now here's the next thing. What if God is just waiting for your yes so he can breathe on it again? God was like, I've been waiting for you to say yes the whole time. You buried that dream. I didn't tell you it was too late for that thing. You said it was too late, because the story we tell ourselves is very powerful. Like we said, you have to shift that internal dialogue. You have to shift the story that you're telling yourself. If you tell yourself all the time it's too late, well, think about this in a more practical perspective. If I say, hey, do you want to go to the party with me? And you go, no, it's too late. I'm not going. You don't get up, you don't put your clothes on. You don't ever arrive and realize that the party itself started late, and so you didn't even miss anything. If you go, it's later than I thought, well, we're going to be late, but I'm going to go and have a great time anyways. Then you get there and you realize, hey, I still had plenty of time at this party to enjoy myself. That's what we do in life. Sometimes we say, it's too late. I missed the party. I missed all the fun. And I'm just going to sit here on this couch and feel sorry for myself, rather than saying, maybe I missed something, but I'm not going to miss it all. I'm going to get up. I'm going to put my clothes on. I'm going to get dressed, and I'm going to go out with an expectation that I am going to have a good time at this party. Life is still going on. Are you going to sit on the couch, or are you going to go out there and experience that life? Okay. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not the trauma that has happened to you. You are not any of those things. You are not the fear that tries to speak to you. You are a vessel that, and vessels don't create the oil, but they do carry it. Okay. You are a vessel. It doesn't create the oil, but it carries it. What does that mean? God created the dreams and desires on the inside of you. He put them there. But how are you going to carry that out? Are you going to carry that in seed form for the rest of your life? Or are you actually going to say, you know what? I'm going to do what I need to do so I can see what's on the inside of me show up on the outside of me. You can hold seeds in your hand all day and they have the potential to feed your entire family. Yeah, better catch that. You can hold seed in your hand forever and it has the potential to feed your family, not just your family. It has the potential to feed a community. It has the potential to change the trajectory of your family, of your community. But if you don't plant it, it cannot produce a harvest, so you cannot eat from it. That is the same thing with your wealth, with relationships, with any part of your life. If you're just holding the seed, it has the potential to feed you, to feed your family, to feed your community. It has the potential to actually inspire other people. And you think about it, if you have seed and you go out and you start doing a garden, you go, well, we don't have a lot of money, but all I have is this seed. And you go out there and you start doing that and you produce some vegetables and some fruit and all of these things. Pretty soon you say, well, I'm just going to do enough for my family to eat. Well, that's good. But then it keeps growing and you go, I actually have enough. I could sell some to my neighbor, way less than they are at the market. And you start selling that and you start producing. And pretty soon your neighbor says, hey, I don't have a lot of money, but I've got this thing that you need. And we start exchanging. You can create a shift in your life by doing what's on the inside of you without giving up. Yes, seed has the potential to change generations, but you got to plant the seed. Okay. So let's look at 3 powerful ways to build up your belief in yourself. Okay. So let's look at these ways that you can build up your belief in yourself. Okay. The first thing is remember who put that greatness or that calling on the inside of you. True confidence starts with remembering the source. God is our source. We're not trying to manufacture belief. We're activating what God has already placed on the inside of us. Okay. So when you remind yourself, God didn't make a mistake when he made me, it starts to quiet those doubts. It starts to quiet that idea that I was a mistake. Even if your parents didn't necessarily quote unquote plan you, you were not a mistake. God said, I need you in the world at this time. So each morning, here's what I want you to do. Remember who put the call, the greatness on the inside of you. Each morning, I want you to say out loud, what's in me is enough for what's ahead of me because God is with me. I'm going to say that again slowly. What's in me is enough for what's ahead of me because God is with me. Okay. That's number 1. Remember who put the greatness on the inside of you. Number 2, I want you to reframe the story that you're telling yourself. We talked about shifting that dialogue that comes because we reframe our story. The inner dialogue either builds our belief or it breaks it. When you face things that feel like you failed, it feels like you got rejected, your brain will begin to tell the story of, I wasn't good enough. I wasn't capable. I don't have the ability. But we said this earlier, you can retrain your brain to see that not as failure, but feedback. When you start seeing things as feedback, you take it so much, you take it differently. Okay. So if I go out and I try, okay, I can give y'all a funny example. This weekend, I have signed up. Y'all need to pray for me. Okay. I have signed up to do a fundraiser in my high school. I used to be a cheerleader in high school, and they are doing this fundraiser where cheerleaders can come back and we get to cheer in one of the quarters at the football game this Friday. I will be out there. Now, in my mind, I was still able to do all of the things that I could do in high school, right? So one day I get in the kitchen and I say, I better start practicing for some jumps or whatever, right? Now this story is coming or is inspired by the fact that what could be perceived as failure is actually feedback. Okay. So I go in there, I try to do a jump. And when I say I didn't get high off the ground at all, I did not get high off the ground at all. Okay. But I looked at it as feedback, not failure. So failure would be like, oh my gosh, I can't jump like I used to jump in high school. I shouldn't do this. Feedback said, I'm not jumping the way I did in high school. I need to start stretching and preparing so that I will be prepared for that. Do you see the difference in that? You can see it as failure or feedback. Feedback is just giving you information. You get to decide what you do with that information. Feedback is simply saying, what do I do with this? Feedback, if you set a boundary with someone and they curse you out because you set a healthy boundary for yourself, you don't have to take that as rejection. Take it as feedback. This person was only nice to me because of what I was doing. What do I do with that feedback? So when we shift our focus from rejection or taking everything as failure or as a loss or rejection or any of those things, and we start to see it as, oh wait, I actually see this as feedback. It shifts how we go into that thing, right? So when you catch yourself saying, I can't, instead finish your sentence with yet. I cannot jump high like I used to yet, but if I keep practicing, I will be able to get to the way I used to jump. Okay. It turns a wall into a window. It opens the door, right? Number 3, these are 3 ways that you build belief in yourself. Okay. The third one is take the brave step. Take the brave step. Belief grows by movement, not by motivation. So today I have come on and I hope that I was motivational. But your belief in you will not actually improve or grow if you just sit back and go, man, I feel motivated. You actually have to move. Every small step towards that goal is movement. Applying for the job, eating the way you're supposed to eat, writing the first chapter of the book, completing the second chapter. Do all of these, what seems to be small steps, they're actually brave steps to completion. These things help you to remind your brain and your spirit that progress is possible. It begins to say, oh, I can do that. It's just a step. So you take one step at a time, one brave step at a time, because faith is not about you waiting until everything feels ready. Faith is about saying, I'm going to take that next step. I don't know exactly how it's all going to work out, but I'm going to take that next step, whatever the next step is. And for some of you guys, you may have to recognize, I'm going to say this even if my voice shakes. I'm going to walk even if my legs are shaky. Confidence isn't just something that comes when we are inspired. Confidence comes as we are moving. The more we do it. Just last night, my daughter had a Christmas gift, birthday gift. And it was like a fashion designer set. She had asked her grandmother for it. Her grandma got it for her. And so she starts creating her first design. The first one that she started to create, she recognized as she cut the fabric, it was all crooked and jagged and everything. And you could visibly see she got upset. She was like, oh. And I said, baby, this is practice. This is the first time you've ever tried this. So we looked at a couple videos. She worked at it a little bit and she was like, that's cool. You know, she wasn't super excited, right? We looked at a video and on that video, it showed this hack that we didn't do the first time. She said, oh, okay, I want to try that the next time. I said, okay, let's try. So we put the little tape stuff on the mannequin first before we started doing the dress, right? So as she starts doing it, she goes, oh, this already looks better. What's happening? Her confidence was being built stronger. That next dress, when she did that second dress, she was proud of that dress. She says, take a picture and send it to Grammy. Take a picture and send it to Grandma Linda. Take a picture and let me go in here and show Dad. Take a picture and send it. You know, she was doing all of these things. Her confidence started to grow. And then she said, the next dress, I'm going to do this thing differently. Why? Because Confidence doesn't come by just somebody hyping you up. You actually have to do it. And sometimes she wasn't confident after that very first dress, but after I kept telling her, hey, this is just practice. This doesn't have to be perfect. This begins to show us what we should and shouldn't do. This begins to help us, right? And as she started to shift, you could see her confidence in her ability to create some cute designs coming forth. So she already is talking about how she wants to make the next design even better. And so that's what I'm telling you, that it is not just about, sitting back and being motivated. You actually have to take that step. So I'm going to review really quickly those 3 steps before we end. I want to know if you guys have any comments or questions before we end. But those 3 steps to rebuild your belief in yourself. Number 1, remember who put the greatness on the inside of you in the first place. Number 2, reframe the story that you are telling yourself. Reframe that story. It wasn't that I failed. It's not the story of I can't do this because of where I came from. I know people who are in their 50s, 60s, some even older. They're still blaming where they are today on things that happened when they were younger. Now, does that mean our life is not impacted from things that happened when we were younger? Of course. I as a counselor, I would be foolish to get on here and say that our life is not impacted, but it should not still be controlled. At some point, we have to say, I got to believe that I can change this. Yes, maybe my mom taught me to be ashamed of that, or maybe my dad taught me this thing that wasn't right. I don't have to stay stuck in that place, okay? So take the next brave step, whatever that brave step is. I hope this helped you guys. Again, I enjoyed preparing this particular lesson because as I was thinking, I was just like, we have so many people that have greatness, but we don't always believe in ourselves. And that part holds us back because it's not about the ability. You have people out here making money selling the most random things. I wish I had looked up some examples. I remember at one point there was people who he was making pictures in potatoes and sending those out. They're literally the most random things. If you go on Amazon, you can find weird gift ideas, all types of things. And people are making sometimes millions, thousands, millions of dollars on things that you could be doing or that you do even better, but that you don't believe in yourself. And so I want to challenge you to go back, listen to this, share this broadcast. If it was encouraging for you, if you learned anything, share the broadcast. Do me a favor, give hearts, give fire. I need you guys to do something for me. If you have not followed me on YouTube, will you please go over to YouTube? It just takes a few minutes to subscribe on YouTube. It is at Tenitria, not a difficult task, at Tenitria, and get subscribed over there on YouTube. Also, if you have not subscribed to Celebrating You, your daily morning affirmations, I'm encouraging you to do that. You can go to Tenitria.com to register for Celebrating You morning affirmations. Every morning, you will get an affirmation sent to your inbox. It is only $1.99 a month. That is it. Not thousands of dollars, but sometimes you need that shift to help you get back in alignment. Your mornings, you may wake up. If it's here, you don't know what kind of attitudes you're going to be facing if you have to deal with the kids and all that stuff. But those affirmations can help you kind of refocus your alignment and your mindset to just like what we did today. Hey, I can do this. I have God on my side. And really help to jumpstart your day, your mood, your year, your company, your whatever. So if you have not done those 2 things, I would appreciate it if you would sign up for the Celebrating You morning affirmations. Go to Tenitria.com. It's $1.99. And if you have not subscribed to YouTube, if you would do that, I would greatly appreciate it. You guys always know if you need me, if you're needing some coaching, if you have someone who needs some counseling, reach out to me. I would be more than happy to help them. I can be reached at Tenitria@gmail.com, Tenitria@gmail.com if you're needing some counseling or coaching. Also, you can call me at the office, and that number is 470-410-9790. Again, that's 888-410-9790. I appreciate you guys for joining me. I will be back here next week, next Thursday, with another episode of Minding My Mental Health. Thank you guys so much. Like, share, tag, all of those wonderful things. And I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Breaking misconceptions, fallacies, enigmas, building up the people, tearing down stigmas, clothed with a purpose. When life tries to wear on me, pray and read the word, but I still go to therapy. No matter your past or what you've been through, this is a space, not judgmental. We got some things to get into. I got my mind in on my meds. No matter your past or what you've been through, this is a space, not judgmental. We got some things to get into. I got my mind in on my mental. Mind in my mental. Mind in my mental. Mind in my mental health. Mind in my mental. Mind in my mental. Mind in my mental.